right, welcome to Life Extension Live. I'm Dr. Mike Smith, and I'm here with Dr. Crystal Gossert, Doctor of Clinical Nutrition. Great to see you. Hey, we're talking about pumpkins today.
Yes.
I do like pumpkins. I like this time of the year, mostly because we get a little cooler in South Florida, and that's pretty much the most important thing.
That's what matters most.
It does. Gosh, give the ACs a break, open up the windows in a nice fall day. Although we're not there yet, we're getting there.
We're not there yet,
And
Dr.
then,
Mike.
so for us in South Florida, when fall comes, you see pumpkins in the stores, right? The grocery stores have them out. And there's some pumpkin patches here and there. And it's just like, that's what tells us, and it's a little cooler outside. That's fall for us in South Florida, and that's about it.
That's about it.
That's
That's
about
okay.
it.
It's still very nice. The pumpkins are just so beautiful riding by, seeing the pumpkin patches. It's
Yeah,
a fun
it's
time.
yeah. So today we wanted to talk about the health benefits of pumpkins. They're really good for you, right? So
Yes.
we're gonna talk about the best ways to eat pumpkins, which is food first, right? The
Right.
5 health benefits of pumpkin seeds. Oh, ooh, I love those. And then tips on roasting the seeds, something I do every single year. So let's get right into this. When we talk about the best way to eat pumpkins, most come on, let's be honest, most Americans are going to tell you it's Thanksgiving Day and it's pumpkin pie.
Right.
That's about it. But there's other ways to prepare them, eat them, right? I mean,
Very true.
tell us a little bit about pumpkins and what you think are better ways of consuming them.
Well, pumpkins are a type of squash, is actually known as winter squash. So you can really prepare it very similar to the way that you would prepare squash. It's native to North America. So I find it funny that we feel like American food are burgers and hot dogs, but it's really pumpkin.
Yeah,
And
it's true. Yeah,
but
that's
you
good.
can roast it, boil it, steam it. Really, the best way to eat it is try to utilize as much of that pumpkin as possible. I think sometimes we're intimidated because it's so large. You just need a nice knife to slice that pumpkin in half and kind of get out some of those seeds. Most people throw them away, but that's for me, that's the
Yeah.
best part.
Yeah, that's the best part. I can't wait to talk about that. I know that, when you look at the original Thanksgiving meal, squashes of different types it's pretty much well known that those were on the table, right?
Right?
And now, and pumpkin was there too. But I learned recently that the pumpkins we have today and how they look
Mm-hmm.
wasn't really how they looked and stuff back then. We've modified it in a way so where they're always nice and orange and plump. They were probably more like oval shaped,
Oh.
longer, more like your traditional squashes. Kind of how they
Oh, I
look.
see. Yes, yes, yes.
Pumpkin was more like that, but over the years we made them the pumpkins they are today, I guess.
Right.
And they did use them, Dr. Crystal. I don't know if you know this, for dessert, but it was different. They would take the squash or the pumpkin and they would cut it in half. You
Mhm.
got to take the guts out, right?
Yes.
And then they had molasses back then. That was available.
Mhm.
And they would put that in the pulp and they would put it right on the fire.
Now that sounds good. Well, that's kind of how we do it here in our home. We cut it in half, put some cinnamon, nutmeg, pumpkin spice, which
Mm,
is kind of the blend of the clove and the ginger as well, and a little bit of coconut oil or even a little bit of olive oil, and just stick it in the
that's
oven. And
good.
we just roast it. We put it in there and leave it. And I'm telling you, it's to me, that's really good eating. I like the pumpkin because it's not
It's good.
quite so sweet.
Right. Yeah.
Typically, so you can add a little bit of molasses or maple syrup or a little bit
Sweeten
of
up if
brown
you want. Yeah.
sugar to sweeten
It,
it, but you don't need the sweetener,
you
really.
don't. You don't. Pumpkin can be in savory dishes. You
Yes.
can you can you can add pumpkin flavor to all kinds of rices and stews and stuff like that. You just got to make sure if you do that, either get your own pumpkin and take the pulp out and do it that way. But if you're going to do the canned version, You got to be careful because one of the cans is going to be the pumpkin with sugar. That's for the pies. The other can is pure pumpkin, no sugar added, right? So you got to
Right.
make sure you're grabbing the right cans.
Exactly. Make sure you grab the right can. You took the words out of my mouth. Look at the label, look for the sugar, look for the salt. That's not what you want for
Yeah,
your pumpkin. You just want the pure pumpkin. But it's so easy to just make your own puree. I think it's a nice project. I would suggest
it
you
is.
try it out.
It is. It is. Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about that, and I think for some people, taking the guts out and everything. But if you have kids, they love taking the guts out, right? That's the
Yes.
fun. That's the fun part of it. But wait, before we go on, some pumpkin is very high in something that you talk about a lot. What do you think? What do you think I'm talking about?
Fiber.
Fiber.
I know that. Yes, it's a great source of fiber.
Yeah. How much do we know about how much fiber we're getting out of, say, a decent serving of just pure pumpkin? Or
It's no, I don't have those details, but I'm sure Brittany or Holly, who's manning the chat, will be able to put those details. I remember 6 or 8 grams, but I don't quote me on that. Holly, if you can just put the exact amount of fiber in the chat, then I would really appreciate it. Thank you.
and of course the pulp is an orangey, yellowy looking substance, right? So
Mhm.
that means it's going to be high. Our audience knows this; they're smart. It's going to be high in the beta carotenes, right?
Yes, and those carotenoids, those are those beneficial antioxidants that kind of help to shield our eyes from the sun.
Yeah.
They act as natural sunblock in our eyes. So great for eye health, great for heart health, great for skin, great for so many things in the body.
Yeah. It makes you wonder why pumpkins are only seasonal. I know they're seasonal how we grow, but you would think we would utilize more of maybe the canned versions, which are fine as long as you're not loading them with salt, right?
Yeah, well, what I typically suggest, since pumpkins are everywhere, is go to a pumpkin patch or the grocery store, wherever, and puree up some of that pumpkin. You just roast it, throw it in the blender, puree it, and freeze it so that you can have pumpkin all
That's good.
throughout the year.
Yeah, that's really good. Now let's move to the top 5 health benefits
Hmm.
of pumpkin seeds. Now,
Yes.
you know me, I've told you this several times. Pumpkin seeds are my favorite type of seed slash nut, whatever. Like if you're going to lay out nuts and seeds, what have you, before me, I'm going to look for the pumpkin seeds. I love the taste. I love the flavor. And it turns out there's a lot of good evidence that they're pretty healthy for us, right?
They are. They're beneficial for sleep. That's the first health benefit. They are a good source of tryptophan.
Ah,
Tryptophan is that amino acid that is a precursor to serotonin in the body, that feel good brain chemical, or that feel good neurotransmitter. We typically think that maybe it's the turkey Thanksgiving time that's making us kind of tight. Maybe it's the pumpkin pie
maybe.
and the seeds. If you have pumpkin with the seeds. But yes, the seeds are
Well,
great.
I think the tiredness we feel on Thanksgiving Day is a combination of things. One of them being that we just gorged ourselves. Our belly is full of a pound of food, and we need to go lay down.
The
I think
sugar
that's part of
crash, right?
it. Yes. So
Yes, you're right, Dr. Mike.
sleep and mood with the seeds are good. I also know blood pressure. That's probably because they're higher in magnesium, potassium, right?
Yes, those two minerals that we know can help to relax the blood vessels. They can also have a very calming effect in the body. And so we do see that translating to blood pressure support.
Yeah, and then of course, the seeds are high in zinc, so that's going to be good for the immune system. We've talked about zinc
Exactly.
the
Hmm.
past couple of years more than I want to talk about zinc. So we know that zinc is really good for the immune system, variety of reasons. But the main thing we wanted to talk about with the audience today was that pumpkin seeds have a pretty dramatic positive effect on the prostate for men. Tell us about some recent research.
Yes, and we actually have a study, Dr. Mike, I sent this over to you and I was just
Good.
blown away
It's a good study.
because yes, and so Robson's putting that up. It's a study that was just published last week, October 19th, hot off the press,
Hot
looking at
off the
pumpkin.
press. We like that. Yeah.
Yes, pumpkin seed oil versus tamsulosin. I always have trouble saying that word, but it's a type
It,
of medication that's often prescribed
yeah.
to
It's
men.
an alpha blocker. You know, you
Yes,
have beta blockers, alpha blockers, all that kind of stuff. And the alpha blockers tend to be more in the urinary system. And by blocking that, it does. It's a pretty effective standard of care for enlarged prostate. So they're comparing pumpkin seeds to what's kind of the standard.
exactly. And
Yeah.
that's helping the muscles around the urethra relax, which is going to help with urine stream and urine flow for someone who's dealing with BPH. But the research, it's just fantastic. 73 patients, they divided them it's in half as much as they possibly could. And so they measured the International Prostate Symptom Score, which is a survey of their symptoms, and they saw a significant decrease in the symptoms, significant improvement in quality of life in both groups. Obviously, the medication, we know that works, and but we're comparing. I love studies like this where you compare the nutrient to an active treatment. It's not
Yeah.
like we're comparing it to the placebo. Both groups are getting something that we hope will work, and we can see them head to head. And what stands out with this study is, yes, they both worked. The drug worked a little bit better, but they both showed significant improvements. And the nice part is none of the patients in the pumpkin group experienced
That's the big thing.
side
Yeah.
effects.
Yeah. That's the
First,
big thing, right?
mhm.
The alpha blockers, well known to help with urinary issues, prostate issues, as you can see on the slide there. But they are well known for common side effects of like dizziness, itchiness, headache. Those are very common complaints when you take alpha blockers. And guess what? The pumpkin seeds didn't have any of that.
Yes.
So that's pretty good, and we're happy to see something in nature that's very safe but yet effective, especially against a common treatment, right?
Exactly. So,
Yeah,
yes, load up on those pumpkin seeds while they're in season. Eat them throughout the day. Have a handful at night after dinner, and it should
it's
help
good.
out.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Now, keep in mind, we got to be careful. We can't say stop your drug, right? You got to talk to your own doctor. That's between you and your physician.
Right.
This is where integrative medicine can play. Now, if you're on an alpha blocker and you're getting benefit, but maybe you're experiencing some dizziness, maybe your doctor, if he or she is integrative, can lower the dose of your drug, add pumpkin seeds. You kind of play around with that. I did that for years for people, and that's the beauty of integrative medicine. And the goal, little by little, is to continuously drop that drug and
Hmm.
increase the pumpkin seeds to the point where maybe the pumpkin seeds can provide all the maintenance you need. That's integrative medicine at its best, right? Yeah,
Absolutely.
but don't just stop your drug. Matter of fact, if you stop an alpha blocker right off the get go, you might feel worse. Don't do that. Talk to your doctor, but this is a really beneficial study for men with prostate issues. But
Hmm.
Dr. Crystal, it's not just about men. We also know that pumpkin seeds are good for what we call overactive bladder as well. That could be both men and women, right?
Absolutely. We do see that that pumpkin extract can be beneficial for bladder health. There is some research on that as well. You'll probably be seeing that if you follow some of the life extension updates. You may see that in some of our updates. And if not, we'll make sure the social team can post something about it. But there's new 2021 research on pumpkin extract and bladder support.
That's good to hear. Well, overactive bladder is a significant issue for the aging population. right? It's
Yes,
something that many, both men and women, a lot of women deal with it more because of past childbirth and all that kind of stuff. But it's nice, again, it's nice to see something natural that's safe and effective come along, right? And it is our friend,
exactly.
it's our friend the pumpkin, right?
Oh, that's cute, Dr. Mike,
Yeah.
your friend the pumpkin.
So now we want to talk about the seeds and how to, you could go to the grocery store this time of the year and you can buy the pumpkin seeds prepared already, pre-packaged, all that kind of stuff. And again, I've had those. I enjoy those. There's a couple of things though. Number one, they're very salty if you buy it that way, pre-packaged.
Yes.
And it's interesting to me because the pumpkin seeds that are prepackaged versus when I do it myself, the prepackaged ones, they look too perfect. There's like when I roast them, there's some that are brown, some are a little whiter, some are like there's a whole mix of, but yet in
All
that
right.
package, it's like they picked the perfect ones out, right? And that's what went into it, and then they load it with salt and stuff. Listen, it's not that hard to do it yourself. So we have some tips for roasting your seeds. Now I'm gonna go. Hold on, don't go
Okay.
anywhere. I'm gonna get
Uh-oh.
I'm gonna go get my pumpkin because this is the pumpkin I'm gonna use for my seeds this year.
Okay. Yes. All right. And one thing I would like to add, sometimes you can find the seeds without the shell. You may have seen me use that in some recipes during lives. Those are great to put on top of oatmeal, to put on top of yogurt. But I personally like the seeds that are still in the shell. A tip, if you buy them,
Yeah.
I like a little bit of salt. So if you buy them in the grocery store, the first thing I would suggest for you to do is rinse them. Rinse off some of that salt, just really a quick rinse in the colander, and then put them out, let them dry a little bit, and then stick them in the oven and roast them a little bit more. I think that's one of the biggest concerns that I've noticed is that in the stores they just the seeds aren't crispy. They don't
Yeah.
have the crisp that I usually look for in a seed. So that's a tip. If you're purchasing them in the grocery store, rinse them and then stick them in the oven,
That's
roast them
good.
for another 5 minutes or so.
Yeah. Here's my pumpkin.
Oh, that's huge.
Yeah. You know, it's a good size. Yeah, that's what you want. You'll get a lot of seeds out of this. By the way, I like the shells in too. I've even been known to eat the shell. Probably don't want to do that. I probably shouldn't say that,
No,
but
no, you can,
I
Dr.
do like.
Mike.
I actually like the shell. But you use a nice, good large pumpkin because it is some work. So you want to get a decent amount of seeds out of it, right?
That's true, Dr. Mike. I didn't think about that.
Yeah,
Maybe
I mean,
that's
you're
my
gonna go through the
problem.
work, do a big one. You just cut around, gut it out, just like you do any squash or gourd.
Mhm.
And it's a little tedious because you got to pull the seeds off of the flesh a little bit.
Dr. Mike, you're doing it all wrong. You need to put them in a colander, and it just to me it comes right off.
No,
And
it doesn't. You still
here's
got
the
to pull
trick.
some of them. You still
Here's
got
the
to
trick,
pull some of them.
Dr. Mike. But use a colander, put a bowl underneath the colander. So put your colander inside the bowl, run the water, and then you can kind of like lift the colander up and down inside of that bowl of water. I'll
You
have
must
to
you
show
must
you.
be using GMO pumpkin or something. I'm using the real stuff. It's hard to get those seeds out. Just kidding on that. But yeah, once you lay them out, here the key thing though, don't put them in the oven right away. You got to let them dry.
Yes.
Pat
Let
dry. You can even put paper towels over them and let that water come up. At
mhm.
some point, just take that off. Some people put them in their fridge. Refrigerators are great. Don't cover them. Just put them in the
Mhm.
fridge. That's a
Mhm.
great. Refrigerators are drying. It's very low humidity in there,
Mhm.
and that's
Mhm.
a great way to dry too. But before you roast, if you do that, take them out and let them come to room temperature before you actually roast them, and that's the best way to get the color and everything you want off of them. So, anyways, this guy, he's gonna be my pumpkin seeds coming up. Yay!
That is awesome, Dr. Mike. So, what other tips to consider? If you like them with the shell on, then sometimes just boiling them in water for maybe about 5 minutes, that helps some of that flavor and salt to get inside of the pumpkin shell. So, you can do that. Another tip that I do this with anything that I'm roasting. I put oil on the seeds, just a little olive oil or whatever you're roasting. Oil it in the bowl. Sometimes
Mm.
you'll see in recipes online they say spread the seeds out and then drizzle with oil.
Yeah.
I'm a bad drizzler. I
Yeah,
don't know.
I am too. Anytime, even with roasted vegetables, I'll put them in a bowl and add my oil that way.
Right.
That technique the chefs do over the, I have, it's all, most of it goes like on one seed, and there's like other seeds that have no oil whatsoever, right?
Right. Yes, so that's another tip is just oil them. You don't need a lot of oil either. Don't overdo it.
Just a little. Yeah, it's
Just a
good.
little oil and get creative too. You don't have to just use salt and pepper. You can use a little cayenne if you want them to have,
Well,
you know,
you got to use a little salt. They need help. They need a little salt.
that's true.
Little
But
salt.
you can use any seasoning in your pantry
Yes,
along with the salt. You can
that
do
is awesome.
garlic, anything, and roast them. Oh, and there was actually a study, and I'm not sure if we included this. I don't think we have a slide for this, but there was a study on the ideal temperature, and around 350 degrees, believe it or not, is the best temperature for preserving the proteins in the pumpkin seed. So you may have
Oh,
to roast it a little bit longer because
okay.
typically you roast higher, but try kind of doing a
So
slow
a little
roast.
lower, longer versus higher, shorter. Okay, that makes sense. In that, yeah, because you want it, because you want all that the nutrients still out of it, right? The proteins and all
Correct.
that. So, well, fantastic show. Who would have thought pumpkins could be so good for us? And again, this time of the year, I don't know. It's just fall, the holiday season coming up. It's just fun talking about pumpkins, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we have let's see, I have it here. Lifeextension.com/pumpkin. There it is,
Yes.
right there.
Yeah. Lifeextension.com/pumpkin. Yes, there is a wellness article, 12 health benefits of pumpkin seed. And there's a awesome pumpkin recipe, a video demonstrating the recipe. It's kind of like a pumpkin um, chia parfait type of recipe that's there. So
Okay.
go
All
to
right. Awesome.
lifeextension.com/pumpkin to check it out.
Thank you for watching, everyone. We love it. Don't forget, we go live every Wednesday. So, like, share, let your friends know. I'm Dr. Mike, and that's Dr. Crystal. I always do the wrong way right there. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.